Darris Nichols, after he was done playing overseas, his basketball career over on the court, he was in Morgantown at the Waterfront Place Hotel parking cars. Then Bob Huggins contacted him, said, hey, we need a graduate assistant. Would you think about joining us on the team bench? He said yes. A couple of years later, he moved on to his first assistant coaching job, and now here he is in the SEC with the Florida Gators. He still gives a lot of credit to this Mountaineers men's basketball staff in Morgantown. He still keeps in constant contact with them. But as I caught up with him in Gainesville, Florida, it's clear this is a young man who is very quickly rising in his new profession.
My degree was sociology, so I wanted to always do something where I can help give back to kids. And then, I'm thinking, how can I help kids, but how can I stay involved in basketball? So, you put the two together and you got coaching.
He was a very good point guard. He didn't turn the ball over. He ran your offense. He understood your offense. And, especially going through timeouts when you go out on the floor and you say, this is the play we would like to execute at this particular time. You can count on Darris to do that.
I was already aware of him as a player. I was a fan of the way that he approached the game and how competitive he was as a point guard at West Virginia. And we started developing a relationship there and tracked his progress. And I thought that he was a huge addition to a couple staffs before we were able to attract him to Louisiana Tech.
He called and he said, interviewed me for a few days and told me, the job's yours if you want it. And I took a leap of faith, didn't even go down and visit Ruston, Louisiana, and just said, I'll do it.
That leap of faith ultimately led Nichols here, Gainesville, where White was hired this past offseason to replace Billy Donovan as head coach. It was Nichols' 5th coaching stop in 6 seasons. It's a far cry from his first job after playing basketball, parking cars at Morgantown's Waterfront Place Hotel and living with former WVU walk-on Ted Talkington.
Hugs was messing with me, said I got the most t-shirts in the country, anybody my age, but just being 5 places in 6 years, you have to be able to develop relationships really quick with, not only the guys you work with, but also the players. So, just being able to connect with those guys right away like he did with our team, that's the main thing I learned from him.
Darris is very wise and mature beyond his years. In fact, we call him the old man on our staff, even though he's one of the couple youngest. That's the way he is. He's got an old soul about him, a very reserved, very calculated, very thorough personality in the way that he comes off.
I think he's just talking about some of the quotes I say and just kind of how I carry myself. I don't know. Everybody kind of says it. I don't know. I've hung around old people my whole life, so I guess they rubbed off on me.
We're very proud. I think he's on the fast track. Being at Florida, there's really, I would hope, and I think our coaching staff would hope that the next position will be as the head coach, and we think he will be very successful.
I'm just extremely blessed. Been in the right place at the right time. Had a lot of people who've helped me out thus far in my career, and just try to, Hugs always says do right. I've just tried to do right.
It's always great sitting down with Darris. I've gotten to know him very well over these last couple of years as I've had this job. But back when I was a student at West Virginia University, I made a drive up to Madison Square Garden. It was the NIT semifinals. And if you're a West Virginia fan, you already know where I'm going with this. As time was running out, they got the ball inbounded to Darris, and from the corner, he drained a 3 to beat Mississippi State at the buzzer and to go for the championship as they beat Clemson the next day or a couple of days later. It was incredible. One of the best memories that I have from my time as a student at WVU, and I poke fun at him now about how I was there as a fan, and now he and I are good friends, but he's just a great guy, and to see him, as he said in that piece, wearing all of these different t-shirts over the years as he goes from job to job to job, I think Mike White is going to have a very hard time saying goodbye to him when he perhaps gets that chance to be his own head coach.
Yeah, what a cool story. And, when you go to Gainesville, you obviously know that you're going to talk to Darris Nichols. And to see how he has progressed in his career up to now is really just an unbelievable thing. And don't forget, as time goes on, Bob Huggins is getting up into the later stages of his career. You never know. Could Darris Nichols become a head coach here at some point?
You got to time it out right.
Know. That could be maybe 10, 20 years from now, but never know. So always keep that in the back of your mind.
When Bob Huggins rejoins the program shortly, Matt Hosworth
Right.
will ask him, how close are you
no.
to retiring from basketball coaching? Stick around. That's coming up as we've got more on the Bob Huggins Show.